We're living in the age of AI. It can write, analyze, summarize, and basically make decisions faster than any human. So if you are trying to distinguish yourself by being the smartest person in the room, I've got bad news for you. AI is already the smartest person in the room, and that's not going to change. And everybody has access to AI. What this means is that if you want to stand out professionally, it's no longer about what you know. It's about who you are when you show up. In the age of AI, the greatest professional advantage you can develop is personal authority. And if you are mid-career, or if you are a faith-driven professional, this matters even more than what you realize. Let me explain. If you are mid-career right now, you might be feeling something that I felt for years. Outside of work, I was a great leader. I had influence. I was impacting people's lives. So I knew I had something to offer. You probably feel the same way. You know you're capable. You've got the skills. You have the experience. You're ready for that next level. You're ready to be promoted. But something is off. You're succeeding, sure, but you're not fully showing up. And you're making decisions that matter deeply to you. But professionally, it doesn't translate the same way. But here's my question. Are you showing up at work the same way you do outside of work? See, at work, you hesitate in moments that matter. You second guess decisions that you know are right. You manage how you show up instead of just showing up. This is an authority problem. You're not lacking competence. You're divided. And in the age of AI, being divided is the fastest way to become invisible. See, there's no advantage anymore in trying to outthink the room because everybody in the room has AI. AI can out-research you, out-analyze you, out-summarize you, and it can even try to duplicate your skills. But here's what AI cannot do. AI cannot embody your internal alignment. AI can sound confident. It can appear convincing, but AI cannot be someone. So people aren't evaluating how impressive you sound anymore. They're evaluating how consistent you are. And that's where authority shows up, or in a lot of cases where it breaks down. See, authority isn't something you claim. It's something that other people recognize. It's not measured by how you feel. It's measured by how reliably people experience you. I define personal authority this way and for my coaching clients. Personal authority is the signal of strength that your life generates as you align who you are internally with how you show up externally, and especially under pressure. Think about that for a moment. Authority is the strength of the signal. See, everybody has some kind of signal, but you want to have the signal that resonates with other people. They can feel you when they're in your presence. See, authority is alignment made visible. And for Christian professionals, this is where the real tension lives. So my definition of personal authority didn't come from theory. It came from my experience. It came from frustration. A few years ago, I was interviewing for a senior manager role. Different functions reporting into me, and I was sitting across from the VP in this interview. And at some point in the conversation, I said, hey, listen, I have a significant life outside of work. I impact a lot of people's lives. I want to bring that same leadership here, but you guys have to give me an opportunity. I told him, look, I'm a pastor. I didn't overthink it. I didn't soften it. I just said it. I showed up whole and I got the role. But here's what hit me later when I look back. That interview was one of the only times I had shown up in my personal authority at work. In that room, I was aligned. I was anchored in my authority. Before that, I had been divided. For years, I would keep my calling and my faith separate from my professional career. The people that I worked with, they didn't even know about the significant amount of leadership and responsibility that I had outside of work. I hesitated to bring my faith-driven insights into my business decisions. I didn't even address that I was a person of faith sometimes. I was managing two different versions of myself. Not because I was ashamed, but because I thought this is what professionalism required. And when I saw that, when I looked back and I realized that I had been dividing myself, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And at that point, everything changed. I stopped managing these versions. I felt strengthened. I felt whole. It was like a weight had been lifted. I had more energy available because I didn't have to use the energy to manage who I was in all these different rooms. I'll tell you what happened. My signal got clearer and people responded differently. If you are a Christian professional, you might recognize this pattern. You never talk about what you do outside of work. You don't mention that you lead a small group, or that you sit on a nonprofit board, or that you recruit volunteers for a cause that's important to you. You don't bring your values into strategy conversations. You avoid talking about where your optimism actually comes from. You are managing different versions of yourself. See, outside of work, you are decisive. You're anchored. You're clear. You're leading. You're serving. You're operating your calling. But at work, you're cautious. You defer. You tone it down, not because you're weak, but because you keep thinking that separate is safer. But here's the problem. These things that you do outside of work, they mean something to you. They are a part of who you are. They reveal parts of you that are meaningful, and meaningful is valuable. Pressure doesn't cause this division. It's not that you're at work and there's so much pressure that you divide yourself. Pressure doesn't cause the division. Pressure reveals the division. And AI accelerates this exposure because when everything else can be replicated, people are looking for someone they can trust. And trust doesn't come from intelligence. Trust comes from consistency. Now, here's what I discovered when I stopped dividing myself. I discovered that being aligned is a stronger position. Now, when I'm networking inside of my large organization and with other people, people can see that I'm extremely positive and optimistic, but they know where it's coming from because I own my authority. I own who I am. I own how I show up. They don't question my ideas as naive. They attribute them to me being a person of faith. Now, this is not about you being preachy or anything like that at work. It's just that my faith and my calling is a big part of who I am. So when I show up or negate these parts of my life, it's making a difference. It's detracting from who I am. So now when people know who I am, they attribute me to being a person of faith. That same thing happens in meetings. When I'm talking with people, they know how to place my suggestions. They have a framework to understand the consistent way that I act. They accept my ideas differently. Not because I became preachy, not because I'm pushing my faith on anyone, but because I'm being consistent. And consistency creates trust. I bring my faith-informed values into my work now. Truth, integrity. I'm a more relatable person, a more understandable person. And people feel that. They trust me faster. Opportunities expand, not because I became smarter, but because my signal got clearer. So how do you fix this? There are 3 practical steps that I want to show you in this video. The first practical step is to build awareness of how your authority is currently showing up. To help with this, I have created a free tool. It's an assessment that I want to share with you, and it'll be in the description. It's called the Authority Assessment. It gives you a starting point to judge where you are. It helps you build some awareness. It takes only about 5 minutes to complete. The second step is to fuel your faith. See, you are a faith-driven professional. Your faith, that thing that lives inside of you, is an important part of who you are. You've got to fuel that on a daily basis so that it's not weak. And when you need to pull from it, you're not pulling from a week ago or a month ago or a year ago. You're pulling from something that you have engaged with recently. You have built that part of yourself up. You have to fuel that part of you because that's a part of who you are. The last step is to begin to work on your disciplines. Now, by disciplines, I mean the skills that you are building mastery in. I'm not just talking about being more disciplined in how you eat or going to work out every day. You're mastering a skill, mastering an area that is important for you so you can own that area. And you keep the discipline up until you master it. These are just 3 really quick practical steps that I want to give you. Listen, the future doesn't belong to the most impressive professional. It belongs to the most aligned one. If you are mid-career, this is how you can distinguish yourself. People don't just want to follow intelligence. They want to follow clarity. They want to follow someone who shows up the same way under pressure, in an interview, or in a crisis. That's authority. And for you, that authority is anchored in your identity. When you stop managing versions of yourself, you don't just feel better. You become more powerful professionally and personally. You stop spending energy on division and start using that energy to lead. You stop hesitating. You start showing up whole. That's what alignment does. If you're feeling stuck right now, if you are capable, but something is off, I want you to consider this. You might not have a competence problem. You might have an authority problem. And authority problems show up most clearly under pressure. I've created something again that can help you see this more clearly, the authority assessment. Shows you how your authority shows up under pressure and gives you a framework to see where you might be divided versus anchored. It takes just a few minutes and the results will be emailed to you. If you want to stand out in the age of AI, stop trying to prove how smart you are. Start becoming someone that people can trust, especially when it matters. That's personal authority. And for the faith-driven professional, it's the only advantage that AI can't replace. I'm Coach Arnold, and I'll talk to you soon. Please like and subscribe and comment. All that good YouTubey stuff. See you later.